simply vibe, so come subscribe. Your soul's in trial, or simply tired. Your soul medicine, it gets revived. The warrior line.
This is my breakdown of the season 2, episode 4 out of 10 of the PITT. I give my after show breakdown on Friday. This is just some more detail of me thinking about some things that are going on. Just get more in depth in my analysis and evaluation of the show. The PITT, the best show on TV. I want to talk about a couple of things. First, the deaf lady. You can look at me. I mean, it's very important that we realize as people that, even though the medical person, the nurse practitioner, wasn't trying to think her name is Donnie, she made sure he understood that he could look at her, that he can recognize her as being there, and not just to the interpreter that was, she was a deaf patient. He was focused on the ASL workers who was interpreting and wasn't looking at her. She said, you can look at me. And we need to realize in our lives, we need to look at people. We need to see people. We need to look at people to make sure they understand that we recognize them in their humanity. Again, not that he was doing anything wrong or malicious about it, but sometimes we're just unaware that people can be talking to us, trying to engage us, and we can be looking elsewhere, focus on other things, and not looking at the person, giving them the impression, obviously her, that she wasn't being recognized as she should be. So that was a good look, a good example for all of us to look at people, to recognize people, no matter what their condition is. The Jackson Davis mystery, that's the man that came shot by the racist cop that shot him with the taser, that take the taser out. He's still unconscious. His sister has came. Wondering about that mystery. I'm wondering what's wrong with it. A mental health issue. Obviously, Dr. J, as we know now, Dr. Javadi, called a social worker too early. He was still unconscious. But it's real interesting what that mystery is going to be and how that's going to come out. So continue watching that situation. The baby mystery is still out there. Nothing about the baby. I think it's the second episode when they was testing her lab. So nothing about the baby yet. That was a cliffhanger from the first episode with Dr. Al was looking at her with the blank look on her face. So still dealing with the baby. The black woman that came in with bulimia, and how they were saying how black women suffer from this and black women struggle with healthcare. This is very true. Black women is real neglected by the healthcare system in the United States of America, and that's tragic and that's unfortunate. And how she was comfortable with, she said she wanted a black doctor, a black female doctor to take care of us. And I like how Santos and Dr. Mel didn't, give her a hard time about it, didn't take it personally, but they understood that she needed the care she needed and what she was comfortable with getting care, because she kept it from them for a while until she finally revealed and she was having this issue with bulimia and, doing what she shouldn't be doing with her food. So it's very important that we listen to people, we hear what they got to say, and don't get offended. Don't take it personal if it's something that feels against us or they not liking what we're doing. Sometimes it's just people preferring what kind of care they want. Of course, Louis the Star again always helps us with the situation. This time he asked about Dr. Collins. His quote was, "The sister helped me out," and that's good. It's good they was able to wrap her up in a nice way. 4 episodes, and some people complain about that, but I still think the PITT did it right. They made it like a patient issue, a patient missing her, and they made it seem natural instead of forced, where some colleagues was like talking about her, wondering about her. It seemed like it was a very natural process for Louis to say, the sister always helped me out when I needed help, when I came in for care here, and that was a great ode to Dr. Collins, and it gave us some wrap up that she had adopted a child, and that she was in Portland, and she put her residency, since I can't say that. And that was great. Wrap up on that, even though we still miss her. The betting, that I got on my background here, Ahmad on the betting board, and people say, this is a repeat from last year. Well, last season Well, Dana said it is it's a ritual that they do. I think it's a coping mechanism that they do to help cope with the seriousness that's coming. Remember, it was a cold black after episode 3. They know some coming, and they're betting what was the cause of the cold black. Even Dr. Al got involved. That showed you how people, first episode she was very, seemingly against, want to change this and that, and that's something she didn't try to change. You got to look into the nuances of that's something she didn't try to change. She just rolled along with, saying, I'm in bed. Matter of fact, she started flirting with Robbie, saying, what, when I win, I'm gonna take you out for a beer. So it's really the first time that Dr. Al didn't really snub her nose or look funny at something she really got involved in it. You would think just the opposite based on where she'd been coming. So you got to look at the nuances of things and how it came about. So the betting board, I think, is how they cope and deal with the seriousness that we know that's coming. Ogilvy didn't have a good episode. I think he's trying too hard. I think he needs to back up a little bit. I think he's going to be a good doctor, but he had the case where he pulled the glass shard out the man's back and it started bleeding real profusely. George really, getting tired of him saying, he's a, what. She's very funny this episode, but he needs to, calm down. I think this is probably going to calm him down a little bit. Whitaker had the case where the man had a heart attack and they, bring it back, and Dr. Robbie fist bumped, a double fist pumped Whitaker, but then he walked out when he tried to reach his hand out. You got to get in where you fit in, but the first thing you got to do is fit in, find your place, make sure you weed those nuances, and understand it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to happen quickly. I think he's got to find his way. Therapy is a situation I think at the center of this. Last season they had the PITT Fest incident where they had the patients come in. I think what really brings Whitaker and Robbie together. Remember, Whitaker was there when Dr. Robbie had to break down in the makeshift morgue that they had, and so they had a connection from there. Robbie's talked to the therapist, and obviously he's taking therapy. And I think that's a dynamic between him and Langdon. Robbie, I'm saying he's interested in Langdon being anywhere near him. He just want to get to this shift and get away from Langdon. I don't know if it's because, Langdon went through his process and dealing with his issue and dealing with his therapy, going through his therapy 10 months in, 10 months later. And Robbie really has not, even with the doctor. He's saying, he haven't found a therapist that's good enough, and talking about he's going to take therapy he can do therapy, the sabbatical therapy. And I can tell Robbie personally, as someone who has PTSD, suffers from PTSD, going on sabbatical is not going to change the fact that you need therapy, particularly what you do on a daily basis, particularly after the PITT Fest incident. Obviously, he hadn't really dealt with it in a real good way. Obviously, wearing a helmet, we seen in the first episode, riding a motorcycle with no helmet. And so there's a lot there about therapy. I think it's going to be the center of the season, how we're going to deal with this, how you're going to deal with process, and when it really starts hitting, when the trauma starts setting back in, and when you get re-traumatized, how people are going to respond. Santos is his own one. Dr. Al has us shook up about this charting. She's not doing her work. So it's like she wants to do it, fighting against it and things like that, but she got to get on board. She was very distracted after Dr. Al checked her on making sure she get her charting done, or she might do a residency too. I think that really shocked her, shook her up, and she was really off this episode. So again, when you look at these characters, when you look at the doctors, when you look at the patients, it's such a study in life, such a study in humanity, such a study in the system. When you look at the fact that the man that with the diabetes, he was, he failed and he couldn't do insurance, and his sugar went up and stuff like that because he can't take his insulin because he can't afford it. He used to have insurance on his job. And to me, as always, healthcare should be a human right. So that's a good how it shows that our healthcare system is still based on really capitalism, who can afford what, and many times we can't afford our medicine. So this show just dives right in. It's the gift that keeps on giving, these interesting cases and the dynamics of the people who work and the caregivers. Just look at the problem of the patient, look at the issue with the caregivers and how we have to work together as humans to survive in this world and deal in this world. And so season 2, episode 4 was a banger. It's good. Looking forward to season 5. God bless you. Hope you like and subscribe and give me a follow. Talk to you later.
Come subscribe, your soul's in trial, simply time. Soul medicine, it gets revived. The warrior line, soul tribe, assemblies vibe, it's friendly vibe. Soul medicine will give you life.